Hello and welcome to the Fast Talk Podcast, Episode 1, the pilot episode featuring me, Kihota, TalTallon, and Dev Knights.
So what's the plan with this podcast? What are you doing?
So, this first one's going to be kind of informal-ish. What I was planning on doing is just walking straight down the list, tying it all together, obviously in natural conversation. But for the future podcast, going forward, I'm actually planning on getting a multitude of people from the Titanfall community and seeing if they want to come in and such. This one's just going to be speculation leading up to June 12th. And then I'm also planning on announcing some additional content that I'm going to be doing with TFG and Raw. And that additional content is going to be stuff like a live commentary over the June 12th reveal of Titanfall 2 and stuff like that.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, it's I've been really excited for it because there's enough media hype around this thing this time around that I honestly feel like we could make Titanfall something bigger than what it is already, and that would be a really good feeling. Because even though Titanfall, to be honest, at least on PC, it died off relatively quickly. The fact that there's still a competitive player base playing it to this day shows potential, an enormous amount of potential.
Yeah, definitely.
On top of that, it's still one of the leading Xbox games.
It is one of the leading Xbox games, and people could make that argument that the only reason it isn't, or the only reason it sold so well on Xbox is that it was the only game on Xbox. But it sold, I don't know. I think the people who are hating on it are definitely stuck in that it's Call of Duty of mechs mindset, and it's not. It's a lot more than that. There's the Quake movement and all of that just brings a lot of depth, a lot of depth. A lot of interesting gameplay and tons of just movement that you don't see in any FPS. Even Black Ops 3 has tried to imitate it, but nothing has come close to what Titanfall has.
No, the movement is just incredible.
It feels so fluid. That's the difference.
Yeah, it feels fluid.
When I've done wall running in other games, like Overwatch and Black Ops, and it just feels sticky.
Whereas... Yeah, wall running in Black Ops 3 feels like sprinting in Battlefield.
Yes, it's a toggle and not an action, not a movement. Overwatch actually is the same thing. It's less of that, but it is still definitely with Lucio. You'll run on a wall and it'll be a stick. It won't be a fluid movement, and that's something that nothing has ever than Titanfall has gotten.
Yeah, the only thing Titanfall could have done better was have an option for the magnetic windows.
Yeah.
But even that, you kind of got used to.
Yeah, it's you could obviously clean it up. There were certain weird interactions of just how things worked, but as a whole, Titanfall probably is the best implementation of wall running in a video game I've seen.
And just the way that you can chain combos from bunny hopping into wall runs, especially if you got into rocket boosting as well.
Yeah, and that's another thing. And we can really just segue right into our first topic here with that. I'll just put an intro on later, I guess. But so the engine that they're using for Titanfall 2, this has been confirmed. There's a tweet about it. I'll have to find it somewhere. But I know it has been confirmed. It is going to be the same fork of Source that they've used before based on developer comments. And this is good because that fork of Source is what made the movement so good, and it's what made the movement have so much potential with the bunny hopping.
Yeah, definitely. I know they modded it a good bit, but I don't know whether they're working on Source 2 for the new one. But either way, if they just improve on it, it should be good.
Yes. And they actually... I'm not sure about Source 2. We haven't heard anything about that. It would be nice. But they said the original reason they were using the Source fork is because it was the closest to the Call of Duty 4 engine they had. Which is interesting because COD 4 didn't even have that kind of movement. With Source, it opened up a lot more potential.
Yeah, Yeah, I've heard people saying they wanted Frostbite and stuff. I think that'd be a huge mistake, and obviously it's not gonna happen. But
Yeah,
it's kind of good it's not happening. So
yeah, it's immensely good. It's not happening. There's been lots of people that have said that, but these people, the people that are saying that don't. I feel there's a lot of people and a lot of misinformation on YouTube going around, and this is a shame.
It's just shitpost. Well, it's like fanboyism that they don't want other games to succeed because they want. It's weird. It's a very cliquish where you have fanboys that will wholeheartedly defend their own games, but whenever another game that's similar, just because it is in the same genre of first-person shooter or whatever, they'll just start going full hatred on another, saying that, if you know what I mean.
yeah, like I know Frostbite looks great, like, and it suits Battlefield, suits Battlefront. It's just, yeah, it's not. It's a
Well, that's one
completely.
of the
It would turn it
things.
into a different game completely.
That's one of the things I've noticed a lot was I looked at the trailer for Titanfall 2, and one of the comments that was on the front page was wanting a lot more Battlefield-esque things in Titanfall 2, and so I can imagine that's again why they'd be wanting to leave the game engine. But
Yeah, I think a lot of people look at it as it's Battlefield's engine, and they'll go, Battlefield's a great game, and it would work perfectly well there. And no, it would
imagine
break.
mechs smashing window buildings and things.
Well, and that's another thing. People are like, why isn't there level destruction? Why isn't there levolution? I believe that's the term that Battlefield actually uses for it. That would break the flow of the maps. The maps would be shattered. Like, obviously, there's room for destructible elements, but not too much, like what they're asking.
I mean, they could have a destructible game mode, I suppose. You know,
The thing that is though, there's a nice rock paper scissors between the mechs and the pilots, and one of the things that the pilots always have over the mechs is the ability to move in a lot more three-dimensional, direction, and it enables them to have a chance against Titans. As we all know, you can harass a Titan down very quickly. Behind cover and things, but as soon as you start having destructible elements within the game, you suddenly lose all that parkour route. You suddenly have your pilots exposed a lot more than they should be, and the Titans actually start having a lot more stronger impact in the game.
Yeah, I think I agree with you is that they could probably implement it as its own game mode, but that would almost be too much dev work for a game mode like that.
yeah, I don't think they'll bother.
Yeah. Okay, so next topic. There's actually they're hiring a senior server engineer, and I am hoping that this means what it means. I am hoping this means they are ditching Azure Cloud, because every Azure Cloud game I've played has been awful. Like, after a
I
while.
don't think they're gonna ditch it now. Like John spoke like so passionately about it, and when it works, like it is great. I imagine it's to give the option of dedicated servers. That's why they would need a server engineer, because you can actually host your own dedicated virtual server. You know, if they configure it right.
That would be very nice as well, because the like Titanfall. The problem I have with Azure Cloud is after a while, as the time dragged on, like when it was launched, it was fine, but as time dragged on, the server quality got worse and worse and worse and just degraded.
I believe that's down to population though. Like I don't know if that was necessarily server issues. You know, it's to do with you being further away from the other guy and you're getting lag spikes and ping is not as good as it usually is. But maybe it is the servers.
I honestly think it's a server, because the only other game, or sorry, the other game I know of and I have played extensively that used Azure Cloud was Rainbow Six Siege, and it had the exact same symptoms over time. It ran perfectly fine for the first couple days and then rapidly degraded beyond that.
Yeah, like there is some videos I have where if I'm experiencing some kind of crap like that, I have the FPS in the corner and stuff, and it tells me that the server is under like 80% load. So, you know,
Yeah, we'll have to see. Either way, a dedicated server option would automatically just be perfectly fine. It would blow that out of the water.
It would make the longevity of the game like amazing. People would stay around longer, you know.
Especially if they allowed those specific servers to have their own rules, because we had the custom formats late in the lifespan of Titanfall 1. But if they had those similar but a little bit more advanced rule sets that you could be implemented on your own server, that would be quite nice.
And interestingly enough, I believe that custom matchmaking is still technically in beta. So that's never coming out of beta at this point, we can pretty much say. But I don't know, the whole development of Titanfall 2, like Titanfall 1 almost seems like a proof of concept at times, because they supported it. They actually bothered supporting it, they bothered patching it, they bothered doing stuff with it. And then all of a sudden they just dropped it and went silent.
Well,
and
the other thing was,
I almost wonder if they couldn't do what they wanted to with the game anymore, so they decided to just like start work on another one.
They never intended it to be competitive from the start. Like, with the lack of competitive options within the game, they didn't really consider such a big, we want to do esports and things. And so I think there is that element to it, though. It was more of a proof of concept to see, can we actually do this? Could it be? And then what things do people actually want in a sequel to make it a lot more popular?
Right. So, next up, the DLC model. I remember before Titanfall 1 came out, I think it was Zampella said this. He said,
yeah, it was Vince. Yeah.
Yeah, he said he didn't want to do map packs because they split the community. Well, there was map packs in Titanfall 1, and at least until they're made free, they kind of split the community.
I thought that was EA's ruling, that they had to have DLC.
Yeah, that was definitely an EA push.
Yes, it was definitely EA push. I'm not saying it was him doing it, because I don't think that's true at all. It was definitely an EA push. He said again in reference to Titanfall 2, he said he wants to look at it. He said they're re-looking at DLC models to see if, maybe they don't want to split the community of map packs again. He said this before, so I mean, obviously it didn't come true the first time. I hope it'll come true the second time.
Yeah, I would hope that making the maps free was kind of a showing EA, hey, look, if we make it free, look at the amount of people that come back to the game and buy it when it's on sale. So hopefully, like, EA will. I think it all depends on whether they're going to have custom guns and customization and stuff. If they have that, the map packs might take a back seat, But
Yeah.
EA need to make money somehow.
Yes, and that's actually something interesting as well. They confirmed, this is recent, they confirmed that it is coming to Origin. That does not, they did not say it would not be coming to Steam. I mean, I would be honestly shocked if it did come to Steam, unfortunately, because nothing, EA had, made recently has come to Steam. But once again, I think it was Vince Zampella once again that actually made this tweet, and he basically said, or it wasn't a tweet, I think it was an interview. He's basically like, it wasn't on Steam immediately, and that's something we may want to look at doing differently next time. Like, he wanted it on Steam as well.
There's definitely a call to have it available in multiple different ways.
I think it would also drive up sales quite a bit if it was on Steam, and it's something that I would really like. But once again, the whole reason Origin exists is because EA wanted full money rights for their DLC. They want all the money for the DLC, and Steam, obviously, if you sell DLC on the store, takes a cut. Steam also doesn't allow you to sell DLC through a third-party service. If you sell your game on Steam, you sell DLC for your game, it has to be sold through Steam. Now, a lot of people are saying, Origin would hurt them more in the long run, hurt them tons in the long run, and that's not true. I believe it was I forget where I read this. It was a paper, but I believe EA now makes more money off of DLC sales than they actually do game sales. So Origin's definitely working for them. And to be honest, I may not like the client, but they're trying very hard to be liked.
The most annoying thing has to be the friends list.
Yeah, the friends list functionality is pretty broken.
Yeah, and the concept when you log in, you get your last viewed message spammed. I don't know what the hell that's about.
Yeah, there's tons of weird bugs with it, but they seem to be trying very hard at making like them. Either way, they would still get more visibility and more sales on Steam. Not with DLC though, and that's really the money in the bottom line is where he is coming from on that one. So I'm not sure if we'll actually see a Titanfall on Steam due to that.
Yeah, and it's like it's strange because I know it goes back to the fanboyism as well. Like the Origin support is incredible compared to Steam support, which is renowned for just not existing at all.
Yeah, Steam has tried to change that recent years, but you are correct entirely. Steam support is quite awful, and Origin is extremely good. Uh, so since they're not going to do map packs, or we're hoping they're not going to do map packs, the DLC model. How about those skins, huh? How about my $200 knife skins?
I don't care, but like something I was never into, but I would never stop someone from putting it in a game because I don't use it. Like that, it's the most retarded argument when people say, "Oh, I don't like it." Well, just don't use it. I mean, if someone wants to use a pink gun, you're gonna see them easier. It's
Yeah.
gonna be easier
Yeah.
to kill them. Just fucking let them do it.
On top of that, if they have skins for sale, they're going to have skins in the game, which means that you're going to have to complete stupid achievements, which means that you get an increased lifespan of the game anyway,
Yeah,
because people
absolutely.
want to get
Yeah.
all those cosmetics.
exactly. It gives two things: a sense of progression. It gives a sense of progression to unlock skins in game, and then if they also do paid skins, it's basically a way of saying without giving any functionality that could affect the game, and in a competitive game, which while I'm hoping Titanfall 2 will be a competitive game, I mean obviously that wasn't their focus the first time around. We don't know if it'll be the second time around, but there's a great competitive community in Titanfall right now, so we are hoping hard for some competitive features and competitive stuff and skins and stuff like that. Is a great way of making DLC ad revenue money, that kind of thing, without hurting the community as a whole.
Or affecting balancing issues and things as well. So just it
Yeah,
actually, because I know in lots of games where they've gone, oh, you can buy a gun, that gun's usually ridiculously overpowered until it gets nerfed into oblivion, and it's just kind of
yeah.
sad,
Black
really.
Ops 3 has the exact problem. They have the whole, oh, look at these guns that we get in the COD boxes. They're rare, so you better pay a bunch of COD points to make sure you get one. It's ridiculous.
Well, just to touch on this, just to bring up that leak on Reddit. So I know whoever leaked it said that there was if you pre-order or something, you get a limited edition gun. So that to me signifies that there will be some sort of extra guns or DLC or skins. I mean, people are going to cry out that they didn't pre-order and didn't get this gun. So surely they'll make it available down the road to buy or something or unlock.
That's one
Yeah,
thing that I've noticed from the Titanfall 1, though, is once it gets into a lifespan, they do release all the stuff for free because it brings more life back. So
yeah,
Absolutely.
hopefully they would do that.
It's a good
yeah.
way of doing it.
I'm honestly hoping I like with the way it was presented. I can't like say for sure anymore. I don't know, but I'm honestly hoping that I think it was the Violators what the weapon was called. It was a handgun.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
honestly hoping it was just a skin for like
Mm.
the Wingman or something. I really hope that it
Or
isn't a gun.
a copy of another gun.
Yeah,
Like,
or just like
yeah.
a different model that does the exact same stats. I'm really
Yeah.
hoping it isn't a unique gun with unique stats.
Yeah, it's probably like the exact same as the wingman. It's just looks different, but it's probably the same hit damage, and it doesn't actually give you a benefit, but it
Right.
looks different.
So it's a skin, and that would be
Yeah.
perfectly fine. I'd be so okay with that.
One thing I was thinking though was with their skins. I think again back to the proof of concept. Titanfall ended up adding the Titan insignias, and I
Yes.
think again they were doing a test to see how many people would actually try to complete those achievements, who would complete which ones, and take numbers back, and then go, all right, so this was actually a good feature to include, although Titan insignias
Yeah.
themselves weren't noticeable really.
Yeah, and as well as that, the forge certificate, surely they got stats on that about who bought, because I think there's like 5 or 6 achievements at the bottom that you can't get, you have to buy them. And that was probably a test on their behalf. So, like let's see who actually buys these for no
Killing
reason.
people or
Yeah.
wall hanging.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was also Like the fact that they have that data now and can look at it and use it in Titanfall 2 is extremely good. Because people basically, one of the major reasons that people say Titanfall died, and they're correct partially in this. To be honest, they're probably correct totally in this. Titanfall died because for the average player, which means not the competitive guys, not the guys who go to tournaments, not the guys who want to win money, etc., um, it's progression. It's giving a sense like, oh yeah, I'm still playing because it's still something to work for. And Titanfall, once you hit Gen 10, which was it's quick. Like a lot of, I know some people were on various places were like, man, I finally got the Gen 10. It was so hard. It's like I got there in like the first couple of weeks. It's not hard.
Well, to be fair, that's because back then the Goosers challenge was 50. So it actually was harder to get to Gen 10.
Oh, yeah, I have the thing for that, but I also played a lot. I played a tremendous amount.
Yeah, but I mean, like now that to get that challenge, it's only 5 Goosers. So
Right.
To get to Gen 10 is really quick. I mean, you could do it in a week if needs be.
Yeah. But as I was saying, but like once you get to Gen 10, there's nothing else. Like they added Titan insignias and stuff later on, but by then it was almost too late.
The other thing I think killed them at the game as well was because it's a very in-depth game when you get into all the movement and things, and it was quite complex. And then what you ended up having was very good players coming up against very casual players who haven't gotten used to looking upwards and things, and getting absolutely destroyed. I don't think there was a proper separation between good and bad players at launch.
So you think matchmaking? Yeah, matchmaking actually definitely was an issue.
Or private servers, or they needed something in order to separate. And pub stomping was definitely an issue.
I think the introduction of the rank chip kind of increased the longevity a little bit until it kind of became where even if you did well, you wouldn't even get a rank, so people got annoyed with it. But I think once they brought that in, a lot of people were Gen 10, and that kind of increased the population because people, I have a new thing to work towards now, like trying to get diamond, So
yeah. The problem with the rank chip though is it was a terrible implementation of ranked gameplay.
Yeah, it doesn't make any
part
sense.
of it was part of the problem was because there wasn't enough players anymore. Not enough people doing the rank chip thing to actually calculate it correctly.
Well, no, ignoring the rank, like the player count and how whatever formula that had, it was a terrible implementation of ranked gameplay. When people were asking for ranked gameplay, I think we all like thought in our heads, we want ranked gameplay. What this means is a ranked playlist with like ranked CTF
yeah,
mode.
Absolutely. Like if you have the rank chip on, you should be put into a different lobby with other people who have the rank chip on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Instead, we got a mixed thing like
Gen 10 Diamond V playing a Gen 1. Like it was just
bronze tier. Yeah.
Well, it's not even that. It was also just like it wasn't ranked. It was just another progression tree.
And then
basically,
it was actually really easy to get to diamond.
Like, yeah, and then the final run-ups, and this I noticed this quite a bit because I stayed up a lot to get the diamond, or I didn't stay up. I stayed up a pretty good amount of time that night that it came out to get the diamond 5, and I actually was hoping, I was praying, I'm like, please let everybody else on my team be bad, because in order to get like a rank chip at the very very top, you had, unless they fixed it since then, they could have, but you had to not only do well on your team, but you had to carry it.
And if you failed, you got your chip damaged and broken.
Yeah, and they die over time as well. And I remember back then when they first brought it out, it was seasonal, wasn't it? They were saying, season 1 of the rank chip.
It's still seasonal. I logged in to play, and I actually got a little thing popped up that said, it's season like 32 or something. And I'm like, okay.
I think I'm back down to bronze. I go up every now and again for fun, and then I just leave it and die.
It's monthly.
Yeah.
I believe.
So obviously in Titanfall 2, we would look for a proper ranked game mode. This is slightly more difficult to do in a game like Titanfall with a lot of different game modes, because like CS has ranked play. CS also only has one game mode that people play. 2 if you count hostage, but few people play that. A game like Dota has a ranked game mode, but it also only has one game mode. So I was bringing this up. How do you guys think they should implement that in Titanfall 2? if they do implement it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, even in the competitive scene, I know people play CTF a lot, but they do mix it up. They play LTS as well. Personally, I like domination. I just don't think people will play it competitively because it just encourages camping. But I don't know whether it'd have to be a separate game mode or it would let you do it on any game mode. I'm not sure what way it should work.
Well, I'd go for a variety pack lobby, which does LTS,
Yeah,
CTF, hardpoint, and it
yeah,
just cycles through that. The biggest problem though is you're gonna get like it there isn't the balancing that you get from prop competitive where we ban certain weapons. If we go into the competitive game mode, like if it was introduced in Titanfall 1 right now, we'd end up with everyone running shotgun and everyone running arc cannon.
See,
Or we'd end up with we'd find out what the best is, and then we'd just stick with that. We'd lock down the weapons quite quickly.
yeah. It's interesting because I've seen a good few posts over the last year or two where people are saying, if Titanfall ever comes out, Titanfall 2, can we have a pilot only game mode and like trying to push that more. I think they had what was it, the floor is lava or whatever that was called.
Flora's lava was Deadly Ground.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was fun, and you couldn't really drop a Titan. There was only a couple of places on each map where your Titan wouldn't be damaged because you're up off the ground. But that was I know a lot of competitive players were playing in that game mode.
there was also a pilot skirmish for
Yeah,
the
Yeah.
pilots only.
that was AV8, was it?
Yeah,
Yes, and I actually had. I was talking to Fexahawks, a old competitive player. We were planning on coming back for Titanfall 2 with TFG and the rest of TFG. But I was talking with him when we were playing Overwatch. And he's taken quite a few tournaments before he stopped playing. He's a great guy and a great player. He was actually saying when it came to Titans and stuff like that, he's like, he didn't like, obviously the game's called Titanfall. I obviously like the giant robots. I think he likes the giant robots too. But he also said that like the main gameplay focus of Titanfall, or at least the main like the most fun, isn't the Titan drops and the Titans. It's the Quake style movement, the fast paced FPS action. So maybe we'll see an original game mode with less importance on Titans and Titan stacking and Titan dropping, and more importance on action as a pilot. And maybe that'll be a competitive game mode. Maybe we'll get search and destroy.
Well, they said that there were the rumors of like getting the capture the Titan.
Capture the Titan was interesting too, but
Yeah,
we
that
never
would
got
Concepts, yeah.
I don't know how I feel about Titan's wall running. I mean, you were just saying there that the pilot movement is kind of, I find myself lately, I try not to get in my Titan.
Yeah.
I either don't drop it or I just throw it on autopilot and let it mess around because I really like trying to improve my movement, and I don't know how I feel about having Titan's wall run. I mean,
I feel
have they confirmed that? I thought it was
no,
just an image.
no. I think the people were just misreading the poster, and now that the leaked poster's out, you can kind of see that he's not actually wall running. He's just
Close.
just kind of protecting or leaning on the wall or protecting the pilot, something like that. I
Yeah.
don't think he's actually wall running.
Yeah,
Unless there's one Titan that can wall run, because it looks like a skinnier Strider.
yeah, that was another, like, in my mind I thought like Titan's wall running. I'm like, that sounds silly. That sounds incredibly silly.
Well, don't you want a cute Titan bunny hopping around the field?
No,
No.
not at all.
Like, no. Next,
Just constantly crushing pilots.
You'll be strafe ejecting a Titan now next.
That's a funny image.
Just a Titan on top of another Titan.
Oh dear. This is something that I actually don't have the doc, but I want to bring up. The image that we're talking about with the Titan wall running, that Titan looks, and the one behind it that's chasing it in the background looks very modular. And I wonder if this may be showing a more like importance on customization this time around.
Well, so you'd have like the ability to damage certain limbs on the Titan, or
Well-
just different. Like if you equipped like the rocket salvo, it actually changed the appearance of your mech.
Well,
compared
not
to
only
that.
not only that, but I was also thinking in addition to and hopefully just cosmetic. As much as I want to go full armored core in this game, balance would be a nightmare. Uh, I think there may be actual like leg swaps and like arm swaps and that those kind of customization things as well.
Yeah.
Based on the look.
I mean, yeah, I think customization would bring a lot of people to the table. And as I said, like if you don't like customization, it shouldn't affect you. You just use your bog standard Titan. You don't need to.
Yeah.
You
If
don't
you
need
don't
to
like
customize.
customization, go Google what is best mech, and then there'll be about 5 results, and you go, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And that's if only if there's like actual balance stuff involved. I honestly think it'll be just cosmetic, in which case you don't even need to Google it. You just need to ignore it. It's not that big of a deal, and it'll just bring more players in the game. I think it's a net plus. But yeah, so ranked mode will be hard to implement. We'll have to see if they have any plans for that going forward. Spectator mode, I'm going to assume is in. I'm shocked it wasn't in to begin with, considering Call of Duty like 4 had it, I believe. The ability to like spectate other matches, so you can actually
Shoutcast.
Yeah, so we can actually have shoutcasters in our matches. Because that's the other thing. So casualization kind of killed, or not the casualization. Sorry, I apologize. Lack of customization kind of killed the casual community off, right? But the competitive community was still there and actually going strong. And I think what killed that off was the lack of support when it came to stuff like shoutcasting and stuff like that. Because if we had gotten some people willing to do it, and I'm hoping this will be true in Titanfall 2. I hope we can get people willing to do this in Titanfall 2. But if we got people willing to cast the matches and like stream them, I honestly think we could have gotten something going right there and not even have to wait and worry about Titanfall 2.
It's incredibly fun to play, and it's incredibly fun to watch like recordings of people flying across the map doing
I
the
watch it
13 flag
non-stop.
caps stuff.
I think a dedicated Twitch it would be very good.
Yeah,
Like, if there
and
was
that would
show.
actually bring in more casual players as well when they see all these great players doing insane stuff. It's like watching Melee or something. When you watch these people wave dashing across the arena and doing very impressive combos, it's again similar to that. And you go, well, I actually fancy playing that. I want to try to be that good. And you actually get a bigger casual community as well because of the result of watching these amazing players play such a fun game.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Esports has taken off everywhere. Esports has taken off in Europe. Esports is beginning to take off in North America.
It's huge.
It's already taken off, gone straight up into orbit in Asia. I want like this is gonna be divisive because there's still people who like kind of don't want this, but I want Titanfall 2 to be a competitive esport game. I think it has potential. I think it has the community. I think it has a wonderful player base that would be willing to to promote it and help get it going. And I think that we could have something here. I think we could have something here that we look back on when we're old and say, I was a part of that. I helped build that. And I think it'd be wonderful.
I think another thing that's going to make this game work is they really need to flesh out the single player. A lot of people didn't understand that the single player was multiplayer in the first one. It
Well, that was
confused them.
shoehorned in. They were told that they need a campaign, they need a campaign, they need a campaign. Oh,
Absolutely.
crap, what do we need to do? Let's just add some storyline to these missions and call it the campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that you have to be connected to the server to actually,
Enjoy
play
the campaign. It means the campaign's dated. One day Titanfall 1 servers will go down, and one day people won't be able to play that campaign. And that's a shame. The campaign wasn't necessarily good, but the lore itself, like all the world building they did, like the aliens roaming in the background, I think they have a great room to maneuver in Titanfall 2.
I just liked the very start when you're in the simulator, and you just you're in your room, and it's got this nice window of the ocean. You're like, oh, this is nice. Okay, step in the simulator. Oh, actually, you're not by the ocean. You're actually
in space. Welcome to the Frontier pilot. Yeah, that was amazing. That was really cool.
And I still like to go back into that training simulator occasionally and just run around. And the fact that they had the small details of if you did the things differently than what it said to do, you got like compliments. Like if you managed to do wall running without touching the ground, it's like well done for your advanced parkour and things.
Yeah,
But
I
that's
think
just
if you're wall running for 6 seconds or something, you should get a little timer. Like, oh, your high score is 6 seconds. I mean that
Oh, it's
something,
personal challenges in a
yeah,
single
something
player mode.
small like that would be, because I know I used to when I in the first year I was obsessed about going in and seeing how like, oh, it's been 6 days wall running, like that to me was hilarious. I was, oh, 2 days like wall hanging. I just thought
What
it
a,
was fun.
what about a mode like at the end of the pilot training, you got into your Titan, and you had those waves of Titans coming after you. What if there was a mode where you just had to keep killing those, and you just had like a high score of how long you managed to stay in your Titan?
Yeah, well, it's like Call of Duty Zombies. I mean, again, this comes down to like the customization. I hate zombies. I've no interest in it, but I mean, it's an absolute amazing addition to the game because people do love it. So I think Frontier Defense was brilliant, but it just
It was a
annoyed
bit
me
too
that it was
late.
It
only
was too
four
late.
rounds and you're done. Like it should have just went on until the harvester was destroyed. You had 3 lives. I mean, that would have kept people around as well because there's still a really good population playing Frontier.
There is. There is.
Hmm.
Uh, okay, so weapons, right? They're obviously adding new weapons. People expect that. We expect that, etc., etc. The one thing that I want to touch on with the weapons, and this, to be honest, it goes either way. Like this one isn't clear cut, but Titanfall, with the exception of a few, had a weapon for every defined role, no extra fluff. They will obviously add more, and then it may end up coming to be that a few weapons in each category are better than all the others, and the other ones just aren't used. That is not necessarily a bad thing. Yes, like people were praising it for not having weapon bloat, but at the same time, more weapon bloat, more progression, more things to do, more like camos to unlock, that kind of thing.
I think I think it's a perfect amount of weapons. I have no problem with the weapons in here. As you said, there's one for every type, every game mode. I mean, you've even got the two snipers. One is auto fire, one is single shot. It. I don't think you really need any more guns, to be honest.
I don't either, but we're going to get them, so we
Oh
really
yeah,
have to make the best of it.
absolutely. But I
Yeah.
mean, I think it's the right amount of guns. I mean, if there's new guns in Titanfall, I don't want there to be like 70 guns and you're trying to find the best one. There should be a limit, like.
Yeah. No, I agree. They shouldn't bloat it way too much. Adding a few more in each category, we'll still probably end up picking the one that's best, but it would just give us more to do.
Also, with the weapons though, it's curious because of the lore. Like, of course, it's like a space thing. It would be nice to have some like laser weapon technology or whatever. But from the lore, all the weapons have been very kinetic weaponry.
Well, they actually said we're dealing with something involving a more esoteric, like Clark's Law, basically. We're dealing with some Clark's Law level stuff in Titanfall 2.
But I mean, would they have lasers if this is in fact a prequel? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is
Like,
true.
if they weren't in the first game, it's going to be very hard to put unless they come up with a good reason. Like
That is
I
true.
don't know.
That is true.
Yeah.
But I want to put that on hold for a moment.
All they had was the
just a
plasma
moment,
gun.
because we're going to come back to that very, very shortly.
Cool,
But
cool.
yeah, that you make a very good point. There's room to speculate on Titan core or like Titan models, cores, balance, etc., but I think we've really kind of gone over that with the customization aspect. I think it may be more of a choose your parts and stuff, which means there'll be core abilities instead of like a necessarily a Titan frame like we had before. There may still be frames and I could be completely off base by this, and there could be tons of new cores, or not cores, but there could be a few more like Titan abilities and stuff like that. It would be interesting to balance, but I think it's way too early. We know nothing about it to even speculate on that at that point. We don't know even how the system's going to work.
Yeah, like there's a multitude. I thought a good idea would be to sacrifice a tier for maybe have more dashes. I think someone posted on Reddit. So if you're in an ogre, you can get more dashes by selecting a tier. It means it would take people away from something like nuke eject, to get actually more dashes.
Yeah, and that would also, like, more customization like that with the Titans would be cool, but we don't know enough about the system. It's hard to speculate. We'll just gloss over that for now. Melee weapons. Oh boy, how are those going to work?
The sword has to be a melee weapon. I cannot see it being a main weapon. I can't.
See, so there's either two ways you can implement it, I think. Either A, we're going to get some crazy stuff we have no idea how to deal with, and it's going to be a main weapon, or sorry, three ways. Or B, it's going to be a melee weapon, maybe cosmetic, maybe it does a bit more damage, maybe like it's a tier, like instead of nuke eject you take sword, and it means any melee attack does more damage or whatever. Kind of like Big Punch, except sword.
I disagree because in the trailer, the amount of emphasis that they put on the sword itself, it looked like it was the main weapon of the.
Well,
I think
that's what I mean. That's what I mean by point A, with the first theory is it's like if it is a main weapon, we're gonna have some interesting stuff they have no idea to deal with. But the third theory I had is that it's a Titan core, which means you have it sheathed, and then you get your Titan core, you hit that button, and you go absolutely ham for however long the core lasts of your sword.
Well, actually, like if it was a primary weapon, it wouldn't be that bad. It would be akin to the railgun. So, you're not not really, but you're not going to be long away. You're going to have to be up close to hit people. So you're kind of.
But if they're
You're
going to
shooting
have
yourself in the foot by using the sword, then if that is the case, because you're going to have to be close quarter combat, where someone can just lay back with a 40 mil and lay into you,
Right, so it'd be situational, just like the railgun.
Yeah.
Well, because they're going to have melee, do you think that there's going to be more Titan, like crowd control, like knockbacks and things?
Maybe. I think it's a bit too early to say on that one, but it would be cool if there was more elements to Titan combat than just what we've seen so far. People probably a little bit rightfully claimed Titan combat to be the most boring part of Titanfall, but that may also have been because Titanfall, everything else was so good that like it was the most boring part. But seeing Titan combat itself fleshed out a little bit more would be great.
It's just the fact that it's an arc sword. It's going to be very interesting to see how it deals with shields and pilots, and if you hit a Titan, does it kill nearby specters? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see in the future. This is a personal thing I just want to say, but Respawn, if you're listening, let me put cat and cat-related memorabilia on my Titan, please.
Is there
I
not
beg of
already
you.
cat insignias?
I need cat, and I need cat memorabilia. I need a little like cat, the things you put on cars, the fuzzy dice. I need those, except cats.
Actually, dice.
Oh, if you could customize the interior of your Titan.
That would also be cool, yeah. So obviously they've confirmed, and segueing into every topic here, they've obviously confirmed a full campaign. We don't know a lot about it yet, beyond the teaser trailer. I'm sure everybody listening to something like this has probably watched it, but if not, you should probably go watch it. So there's the drop pod that fell, and it has James McAllen's name on it, which means there's three things that immediately come to mind. And thank you to the people of Reddit for like looking over this trailer so much and like dissertating this trailer and just like going through every nook and cranny.
Yeah, dissect it. I love it. I mean, people's theories, and every day you're finding something new.
Yeah, it's gore. Like it's wonderful how much effort the community puts into this.
Pretty much gore lore.
Yeah, it's gore lore. And then there's also I want to give a shout out to Titanfall Story, which is another subreddit, a sister subreddit of the Titanfall, that is focusing nothing on the lore, but nothing but the lore and the story, and they have an incredibly cool community there. Go check them out, please.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So, James McAllen is the name of a ship, which means it's a sequel. Probably far in the future if they named the ship after James McAllen. Maybe. I would like the theory to be true, personally. A prequel looks slightly more likely, to be honest, but it would be cool if it was a sequel and we got future Titans and, like, more advanced stuff. The second theory would be James McAllen is the name of the person in the thing, which means a prequel, possibly during the Titan Wars, which would also be an incredibly cool thing to experience. Because they talk that up a lot in the lore, that the Titan Wars were like serious business, and maybe we'll get to play them, maybe we'll get to play through them, maybe we'll get to see how people reacted to them. And then the third major theory, is that James McAllen is the guy in the pod. He lived through Demeter, which is bullshit, because he lived through Demeter. Demeter's awful. No. Nobody likes Demeter.
No.
I'd have to go with. I'd be looking towards the sequel theory only because, well, the main one because of the corporate mission at the end of the original campaign.
Well, there's also there's a fourth possibility. I mean, it could be James McAllen Jr.
It could. You could be right, actually. Like, that is true. It could very well just be somebody with the same name.
Yeah.
With that said, the like the military nut in me thinks that personalized drop pods for a ship would be a tad bit ridiculous.
Unless he was the captain of the ship.
Maybe if he was the captain of the ship, but I still think that if you were going to put insignias and stuff on a drop pod or an escape pod, I would put the name of the ship on the pod.
Yeah.
Not the name of the person.
But yeah, like I was saying, the corporate mission at the end of the Titanfall 1 campaign just kind of felt weird, because you just dealt with Demeter, and that felt like the conclusion. And then you have the corporate mission, which is with all the Spectres being built and distributed, and I feel like that's where we're going, is the takeover of the robots versus humans, and well, that entire saga feels like what they're alluding to as the next big thing.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's a sequel. I mean, it makes sense that it's the ship name, and also if it's got swords and they weren't in the first one, it makes sense that that's new technology, and there's obviously a new Titan, that's new technology again, so...
Either that or it's all tech.
Yep.
Going full 40K. We've lost the tech, I'm sorry. It just disappeared. And tying into that kind of... sorry, Dev, if I interrupted you.
Oh, it's fun.
The new mech in the teaser trailer looked a lot more streamlined. This could be credence to the future theory, or it could be art shift. So, yeah.
They also had the animals in the thing. Do you think that there's going to be some animal interaction in the alien interaction in the?
Let me just say,
well, there already is. I mean, you know, the dragons are constantly taking
the flyers.
Yeah, they're taking AI. You know, and you know, there's a big dinosaur in the background there of one of the maps, and I believe I've seen a video like 2 years ago where someone actually killed it. They spent the whole map like 6 Titans shooting it and killed it. So
really,
like,
I think I remember that video.
Yeah, I'll have to root it out, but so that would be nice. Like if you know, like what was it? It was like a lizard or something that was in the trailer.
Yeah,
maybe it's gonna be, you know. Like,
I imagine it's just gonna be background creatures.
I think
nice.
we'll see more interaction with the flora and the fauna this time around.
Yeah, I think so.
A lot of people liked that quite a bit, so I think we'll see it. So as long as we're on the trailer topic and the sword topic, it had a serial number on the sword. The serial number was MOB131/P/S4/R2X1:P-C38. This is obviously Respawn doing what they normally do, and that's hiding information within the serial number. This is my theory. MOB is multiplayer open beta.
Without a doubt.
Yes. It can also mean mobile in reference to their mobile game, but that's crazy, and I don't think that's true at all. So the 13/16, some people think it's like, it's 2016 13th of something. EA Play is on June 12th. I honestly think it could be what they did with Hardline. And what they did with Hardline is when they did the whole huge announcement for Hardline, they're like, here's Hardline, here's the game we made, you can go play the beta tomorrow.
I'm going to interject here and say that is probably most likely. And I have a good source that will be the case, because EA Play is from the 12th to the 15th. So the 13th of the 16th, you know what I mean? Like the 13th would be in the middle of those days. It would make the most sense.
Yes. They've done this before. I think they'll do it again. I have a really good feeling about it. Yeah, so look forward to that, because I have a good feeling that we're gonna get some Titan action coming up real soon.
Because if you actually look at the tweets, they're saying like, who's ready to, you know, get your hands on, be the first to play it. Like, I think they're gonna have people play it at EA Play, and then the next day open beta.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty cool if they did.
I think that'll be it. I think it's gonna be really cool. I think we should all be super excited for this.
And then obviously they have PS4 in there.
Yeah, and the rest are just basically what is coming out on.
Well,
So,
I think it's PS4,
Return
Xbox
to
One,
X-
and PC, isn't it?
Yeah, R2 return to Xbox One, PC, and then 3.8. I have a
Ah,
suspicion
yes.
that 3.8 is going to be pre-sales, the 3rd of the 8th. There's not really any idea of why they've done 3.8, but the only reason I could say think would be if because it's not obviously a day of the month.
That actually makes a lot of sense. The 38 would tie in nicely, yeah.
Yeah, for pre-sales or another beta event.
Or some kind of event in general. Yeah, that would be interesting. I did think of that, Dev. And this is why I bring you on. It's because you catch stuff that I definitely don't.
Yeah, that's very good. I didn't know what 38 was at all, but that makes most
It's a it's a crazy idea, but
yeah. No, it does make a lot of sense though. I honestly think we're wrapping up a bit about here, but I just want to say a few things. First of all, before I go into anything else, I want to say that the Titanfall community, everybody I've met in the Titanfall community has been some of the most wonderful people that I have ever met.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. We all have our petty rivalries. We all have our screw ups. We all have our like mix ups. But even though there was like that rivalry between my group, like the group I play with, TFG and Raw and Sith, and we're all like jostling at each other, they all still come in. We still all play games together, and we all like it. 2 years, like I think it's been 2 years now that I met. That I met this group of people. I am still playing games with them. I still play games with. I still talk with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're wonderful people. You are all wonderful people, and I am honored to have been a part of any of this with you. It's truly wonderful. It's truly great. So moving on to the future of this podcast. This has been the Fast Talk Podcast, episode 1, the pilot episode. That joke is bad, I know. So moving on with this, I'm planning on adding a lot more content, and a lot more podcasts. The podcast will be sporadic up to the 12th. But once the 12th comes, we'll probably see a pretty regular release schedule with rotating people coming in and out. I've had Dev Nights with me, Sith Dev Nights, who's a wonderful person. Like, he's doing charity events on his own time, and is an extremely nice person. And I have Talon here with me, who actually, I just sent him a message and was like, would you like to do a podcast? And he came in and volunteered his own time on his day off to do this podcast with me, which is wonderful. Thank you very much, Talon, for that. So I'm going to be moving on with a lot of new content. So I'll be posting more about that later. I will be doing with TFG a live stream coverage of the EA Play event. So you can obviously they'll have a live stream up themselves and you can watch it. But if you want commentary or if you want what some old Titanfall players think, heck, maybe we'll make jokes or something. Then just come in. I'll have more information on that live stream closer to the date. But I think it'll be a fun time. I think it'll be a really fun time. But once again, I just want to reiterate, you guys are great. Everybody in this community is great. Thank you for listening to this, and thank you for putting up with this.
And thanks for having me, Kihota. You've done a really good job.
Yeah,
thanks.
Fair play to you.
So, thank you very much. Thank you all.